So Adam, I was thinking we're pretty simpatico. Is am, are are you the classical and I'm the jazz, or is it the other way around?
I'm a big fan of Beethoven. I really like his work. I think he's a great dog.
Well, you know what I'm a fan of. Tune never gets old.
Yes, it never gets old, and whatever never gets old, it's also Breaking Bad. Welcome back to the
Oh,
sideshow.
I see what you did there. See what you did there. Well done.
Yep, and we are back with another episode of the sideshow where we're breaking down Breaking Bad.
Breakdown of Breaking Bad.
Yes, it is Adam. It is Terry. We're talking about season 3, episode 8. I see you, but it's a tricky. They spelled the word "C," not the actual place in the hospital. It's pretty awesome. This episode debuted on AMC on May 9th, 2010, 14 years ago almost. And
Don't say
yeah,
that. Don't say that.
it was a
That's just
long.
sad.
It is a sad thing. We may stop doing that after doing it for 2 weeks. We may stop doing that because
No,
now
you
it's
can keep
aging.
saying it. Just don't say it was 14 years ago. That's what makes it sad. Anyways,
It was some time ago. Anyway, we're really excited to dive into this episode because it is an aftermath episode, which means that not a ton of stuff does happen, but we do get some interesting character moments and we get some character getting kicked off the island, so to speak. And yeah, like you said, like Baskin Robbins, Polio's always finds out. So,
always finds out.
yeah, really looking
Yeah.
forward to this episode, Terry.
This has a lot of great scenes. And there, like you said, not a lot happens, but there's a lot of great moments. So let's do it. Let's hop into this. So season 3, episode 8 is entitled I See You. Hank is clinging to life, and Jesse couldn't be happier. Walt is firing Gale in his underground lab, and Jesse couldn't be happier. No cell service means Jesse gets to break the news to Walt about Hank. Shot 4 times, critical condition. One Salamanca cousin survived, for now. A hospital crawling with cops are not too fond of a cop hitman. However, the sight of Heisenberg is the only thing that really brings any reaction out of him. Marie is beside herself, trying to find who to blame. Walt is supporting his family, which means Jesse is hanging out in the new lab alone. And Jesse couldn't be happier. It's a great episode to be Jesse. Eventually, questions start getting asked why nothing is cooking. Walt blames Gale. Gus makes sure Walt knows. He knows what's going on. Guess who's donating dinner to all holding watch at Hank's bedside? Los Pollos Hermanos. Hey, and it's delivered by the owner himself.
It's great service.
Walt will make up for it all next week. But Gus wasn't just there to send a message to Walt. He, through Mike, was trying to tie up a loose end. No more Salamanca cousin. And no more cartel boss. After several calls with the cartel boss in charge of killing Tortuga, while he was trying to find out what really happened with Tuco's Tio's nephews, Gus appears to arrange for an ambush of his Mexican home. Interesting little piece there. So, Adam, what do you think about I See You?
I see you. Really good, good little moments here. We don't get our big comedic players. We don't get Hank's comedy. We don't get Badger or even Saul here, but we do get some really good, profound moments, and we get some, Jesse. It's great to be Jesse. He's going to start his own steel drum band, I guess, just banging on everything. He's ridiculous in this episode, but anyway, it's good. It's a good episode because it shows everything. We get Gomi back. Steven back. We get Steven back in this episode, and it's great to see him. But Marie's like, "Where were you?" in Texas. Oh, powerful.
Texas.
Yeah, blame. It's a good. I really liked Marie in this episode quite a bit. The
I think Gomi put the water spots on the fork too.
it's out of spite. Yeah, it's a good call.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I can dig it. Uh, there is some the things I want, of course, more of. But when Gus and Walt are face to face, and there's like, oh crap, like it just went down. He did that. It was cool to see because he's like, I like to like hide in plain sight, which is awesome. That's an awesome line and how it's delivered as well. Uh, really solid episode. Uh, Maybe not my favorite of the season, but it's a much needed episode to kind of show the aftermath of this really big tragic thing that happened. So, solid episode for sure.
Yeah, I like your description of it's an aftermath episode. Like we have to have that episode that kind of starts to tie things together a little bit
Hmm.
and and really see how everything plays out. One of the more fascinating parts of this episode is how our world expands a little bit as we see this whole relationship between Gus and the cartel guy
Hmm. Juan,
ramp
I
up
think.
a little
Yeah.
bit. I think the only time we had seen this guy before that moment was in the flashback where he, ordered the Salamanca cousins to kill Tortuga.
Well,
Played, of course, by Danny Trejo.
wasn't he at the wheelchair ramp access too?
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. He was at the
You were
meeting with
testing me. Yeah, I was
he
paying
was at the
attention.
no, I honestly forgot. I honestly forgot. Yeah, he was at the meeting with all three Salamancas
All
that are
three of
still
them. Ding,
the
ding, ding.
cousins and the Tio. Ding ding ding, exactly. He was there. So there is a relationship there.
Mhm.
Um well, was a relationship there. Like it feels like that whole storyline like came and went pretty quickly if we're
It's
ending it like that.
yeah, it definitely seemed like it was kind of a convenient kind of ending to that storyline. Kind of quickly tied up that loose end or whatever the case may be. Kind of surprised. Um, the cousins went out as easily as they did, especially when Hank didn't have his gun. And why didn't he have his gun? He was suspended. But at the same time, it was very effective when they were there because you felt their presence as this looming force that was the quiet factor in this show. Like they left signs on the sidewalk. They broke into a house when the guy was taking a shower, when Walt was taking a shower, and moved an eyeball just a
Move the
little bit
eyeball.
to,
Yep.
yeah, move the eyeball just enough to make you guess like what's going on in this, what's really happening here. So, uh, I, it's weird because I really like Tuco a lot. Um, One of my kind of favorite kind of foes that these guys have gone up to. Even Crazy Eight is a really good character too. The cousins, I don't know. I was kind of expecting more, and considering that we have 13 episodes this season, having them both go out and like halfway through the season or a little over halfway through the season, in
Mhm.
episode 7 and episode 8 now. Uh, Kind of surprising. Was not actually expecting that, but it seemed like they really kind of took a back seat, honestly, in like a couple of those earlier episodes to like the development of Gus and getting Jesse back into play too. So we really didn't see them, but their presence were also looming. I felt like as well. So kind of wanted more from them, but at the same time, I'm not gonna take away anything that we just got previously because I think those are all really good moments. And I think having the subtle nature of like, even if it's just like a picture drawn on a sidewalk, that was like their only appearance, air quotes appearance in this episode, still really effective. So you knew that like something's going to go down with them. It's a looming kind of doom with them. So wanted more from them, honestly, but at the same time as they're just in a video game comparison, they're the mini boss to like the actual big boss here. So they're not really. They're just kind of the means to an end to get to the big boss. So, which is Gus at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of interesting how it feels like even though they put Hank in the hospital and looks like almost killed him, their ending feels very anticlimactic. I agree. because they've been building these guys up like since the first shot of this season.
Yeah, and
In
they were teased for quite a while as the cousins are going to cut, or they're coming.
which Walt like connects and brings back and in this episode and realizes, oh, these are the cousins, and he figures it out. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, that is a good point. We've been waiting for this, and now they're gone.
Yeah, and it's
Just
not
from
even by
a simple syringe from Mike.
yeah, and it happened so fast that you said that happened, but apparently I looked away and I didn't see that actually happening. So
You didn't. It's just kind of in the background as they're all watching him get declared dead. Mike walks by and drops a syringe in
yeah, I
the
missed
contaminated
that
thing
one
and
part,
walks away. Yep.
and I'm like, great. I go back and rewatch it, which is great. It makes me go do it. But I love Mike, so I didn't even realize he was in this episode. So minor character nominee there, but I love me some Mike. But yeah, I didn't even see it, so I'm kind of really bummed out that I didn't catch that. But it's really cool that they were able to incorporate him again because we haven't seen him for several episodes too, and some of his Walter isms are rather fun.
Walter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's great. What's the best scene of this episode?
we're gonna talk about water spots now. Water spots talking at that cafeteria, which I've worked at a hospital before. There's no tables right next to the cafeteria food line. Anyway, we're not gonna discuss like the placement of seating. But that's a really good scene because even though there's some tensions between Walt and Skylar and with Marie and Walter and the family because of what's happening to Hank, so everybody's kind of on edge, don't know necessarily what to say. Walter was able to spin it and speak from his experience. Hey, I was able to survive this, and Hank's even more the man than I am, so he's definitely gonna survive. And it's interesting too because I feel like he's not just using this as an example to help Marie, but he's also trying to communicate to Skylar and trying to finally open up to maybe just a little bit of opening up to his actual feelings, which he has been kind of closed off quite a bit as well. So I think it's a double meaning of what he's trying to do here. It just kind of works in his favor. So I really like that scene. It's kind of layered there as well. I think also communicating to his son as well. So there's the three people he's trying to talk to in a different way.
Yeah, that's what I had written down too. Just that whole I
Mhm.
survived this place, and never have I ever wanted to be stuck in traffic more than that drive. And that just so much of that talk he gives is just so poignant. And like you said, talking to all three people at the table in very different ways, connecting with all three of them in very different ways. It was like the one thing that Marie could hear that was going to really sink in and break through what she was going through. It was a great scene. If I had to
Yeah.
pick something different, um, we already kind of talked about the Gus Walt conversation at the end. But if I had to pick something else, I might go with the opening pre-credit scene of Jesse getting released, because you see just I mean he's getting released, but he's not feeling good. Like watching him put his clothes back on, getting wheeled out, and then you can't smoke this close to the entrance. Roll me further, bitch.
Yeah.
Uh,
What
and
a
then
what a dick for that.
and then watching Hank show up, and he gets and then when he gets in the car with Skinny Pete, just getting that little smile on his face, like, yeah, I actually feel great. Like
Yeah.
it just that little slight bit of vindication for Jesse in that moment. I thought it was pretty cool.
Good call. Good call. I like it. Nice car by Skinny Pete though. Thunderbird. It's really nice.
It's true. It's true. The Ken Wins douchebag
Oh,
award.
It's Jesse in this episode. It's Jesse. Um, he is completely. He's like, hey, so I get the grieving process, man, but it's been a freaking day. When are we gonna cook? We got deadlines and shit. Like, it's he is kind of being insensitive, but at the same time, I get where he's coming from. But at the same time, he is kind of insensitive as well. I originally thought the orderly, the maybe the nurse who was wheeling him out, and says you can't smoke here. It was kind of a dick move to say like move me further, bitch. But at the same time, it's like, well, maybe he's being a dick because he dropped him off right there and at this one spot and just kind of left him there.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure he's just that wheelchair is not going to be brought back in. Like that doesn't really happen, but I think it is Jesse in this episode because just the little things he says, and
They tell your brother-in-law to go towards the light.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I forgot about that line. And even when he meets Gale, he kind of just blows him off, and Gale's just left bewildered, like this is the guy that's replacing me. Some punk rocker. We could be talking about classical music right now. Like, really?
This makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. That's a good call. That is a good call. I'm gonna go with Gomi in this one. Now Marie's criticism of Gomi is completely ridiculous, but you gotta throw it out there. But the amount of just like this is like the most inauthentic Gomi feels.
Well, that's
in any
saying
episode.
It that way. Yes, I get that then.
Because like his hatred of like, oh, look at that scumbag in there. They did that to Hank, and like that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel like Gomi in that moment. That's not the Gomi we've come to know and love. That's shown up there. And then watching Marie rip him apart, he's just like taking it. It's like this doesn't feel like the same guy.
True. For this one episode, hashtag not my Steven.
Burn in hell when he dies, and it's like this is the vitriol coming from Gomi in this episode is not at all the hashtag not my Steven. I like it.
That's a good call. I didn't think about it that way, but you're absolutely right. He comes across completely different and authentic to how he actually is. Get frustrations do make the blood boil, but at the same time, it's not really how I would envision his grumpy stage to be. So
he looks different in this episode too. Like it looks like he like put on some weight since last time he was on screen or something, or maybe
Texas
it's just
barbecue, bro. Texas
maybe
barbecue.
it's just the first time we've seen him like without a smile on his face. Like he has got this weird frown on his face the entire episode, which just looks different. Okay. The Pink Man Stick Man Award goes to
that air tube.
I was gonna say the exhaust tube.
That's gotta be it. That's the only thing. It's the only thing that got. It's the only thing that got inserted. Something got inserted into it, so it's got to be, or almost inserted. But it's the one that. It's the one thing that. Yeah, that would play here.
The other one I was thinking was, Skinny Pete with the car.
It's not a bad call. Chicks dig the car, man.
That was the only other one I was thinking. But yeah, I had the exhaust head too.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
The best new face, hey, that's Danny Trejo award for this episode. I'm going first because I am going with Ken Thomas, who is credited as Friendly Agent.
Oh God!
Because when I saw him, he looks like some random like mashup of Dokes from Dexter and David Alan Grier.
Oh,
like you put those two together, and you get this guy.
He was the one standing behind Gomi, like.
Yeah,
he has a mustache on. Yeah, that's a good call, actually. Because I was thinking that the guy did look kind of familiar as well. Yeah, that's only I couldn't think of anything for this episode, but yeah, it's a good call.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that what you had too?
Well, I will be saying that. Yes, it's a good one.
All right. Your Gomi minor character is
Gale. I feel bad for Gale now. I'm gonna.
Too.
Okay, so man, it's like he's like, this is the guy that like I get kicked out for, and you kind of feel bad for him now because it's like Jesse's like putting on this show. He's like, we're partners now, bitch. Like, yeah, let's go. But yeah, Gale gets blamed for the production issues and all the fun stuff. So I got to go with Gale on this for this part here.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, just his. I thought we were simpatico. This makes no sense. Uh, I, yeah, it's great. The other one, if we're gonna go with anybody else, um, at this point, and even still to this day, eventually we get to know a name. I'll tell you that. But my wife still just calls him Dead Eyes. Um, the one that Jesse has is qualified to speak to. Um, he just kind of shows up.
Yeah,
he's
that's
re-
true.
he's really sneaky too. Like it
Yeah.
just kind of pops up. Like, why isn't anything cooking? And he's been popping up. Like he's the one that popped up in Pollos Hermanos at the season 2 and told Walt, bring the stuff, drop it here, half an hour, and you get the money. And it's like
Good call. Yeah.
he's an interesting character. He really is. Just simply because we know nothing about him other than he works for he works for Gus.
You underestimate the sneakiness, sir. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the
You
guy.
underestimate the sneakiness. Yeah, Dead Eyes. He's Dead Eyes. Um,
Good call. Okay. Call.
um, the cow house. Dumbest thing said.
I did mention he said he's got the dead eyes. That's that's
He's
one thing
got
I
the dead
said.
eyes. Yeah,
But I like how it's shiny up in here, yo.
it's
That's
all
what that.
shiny up in here.
Yeah,
It's one of the things I had written down.
we're on the same wavelength
We
today.
are totally on the same wavelength today. The other one I had written down was just Jesse referring to Gale as Captain Nerd. I thought that was pretty good. Um,
Get out of here, Square.
or just hello, 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 hello. Jesse Pinkman in the house. I did the he.
Dumbest action is him inflating his suit up with air, and then he's like pushing it down, letting the air out. That's
uh,
pretty good.
it's so yeah. He's having so much fun in this episode. So much fun. All right. Do you have any problems? Anything outdated? Anything you
Yeah, I
want to
got some
mention?
flaws.
Okay.
The
Hit me.
ER entrance and the ER exit, where for discharged patients, they would never put those two doors close together for the ambulance. That is.
That's a valid
So
point.
yeah, so that's one thing. The phone call at the hospital, not going to be something that is actually going to actually happen. They're not going to radio you over the
Hello,
intercom.
Reverend. So
Yeah.
nice of you to call.
Yeah. You know who that was? Do you know who that was? Don't
The
care.
clutch moment of the episode, though. Like she just looks at him and walks away. It's like, why are you even pretending to lie?
Yeah. I thought my wife's like, oh wow, she's like because she already knows. I'm like, yeah, because he knows it's going to be a lie. That's what she knows. So
Mhm,
why should she care?
mhm.
And cafeteria forks. It's plastics. It's plastic Tupperware all day. Right?
Oh,
It's plastic
that's
forks.
yeah. I can see that. Yeah,
Like in the hospital rooms, real forks, but it's definitely
in a
be
cafeteria,
plastic
they're
at the
plastic.
cafeteria. Yeah,
That's a good call. That is a good call. Yeah, I didn't really have anything here except we once again get to see someone destroy a flip phone by breaking it in half, and it's just so satisfying to watch.
it is
It's pretty great.
in the parking lot.
In the parking lot
That could be a
of
power
the
rankings
Poyos.
best phone breaking sequences.
Best ditch the phone moments.
Hmm
All right. What's your midlife crisis moment?
Well, worrying about silverware is a pretty funny one. But I'm gonna say comparing anything to classical music. That's comparing anything to classical music because it's like now you're past your prime of like listening to rock generally. You're like I'm a little too old for this stuff. It's too loud. It's like the guy in Back to the Future. I'm afraid you're just too darn loud. Like that's pretty much where we're at classical music now. We like the classic music, classic everything. So that's where I'm gonna go with
I
comparing
like
anything to
that.
classical.
I like that. I've got a couple things I've been thinking about. One is never underestimate the stupidity that can happen when you're left alone too long.
Oh, good call.
Um, that that is definitely something that happens. And then the other one I had written down is Walt having the need to fix the wobbly table.
That's another solid one right there
It's like,
too.
and just taking the time. First off, another outdated
Forbes
magazines,
magazine.
just
Yeah.
magazines in general. But I mean, we're old enough to know, the whole there's always the postcard, right? That's in the
Yeah.
middle of the magazine. You can pull out, send it in to get your subscription. But clutch move, taking that out, folding it. Oh no, that wasn't to it. So let's fold it one more time. Oh, perfect. And he's
Making the
not
shim.
doing it for a show or anything like that, but they're all watching him do it. Like,
How
what
are you
are you
doing?
doing? And he just does it and then goes right back to his magazine and he's good to go. It's a good one. It's good.
It's a good one.
Okay.
The Jesse one, but like time by yourself. It's kind of reminds me of those memes, or those memes. It's like uh, what the girlfriend thinks you're doing versus what you're actually doing.
Mhm.
I should make that as a YouTube short now. But anyway, that's
There
pretty
you
good.
go. One of the one of the best, like, Breaking Bad gifts you can find is Jesse wobbling around in his inflated suit. It's a good one. It's a good
Hmm.
one. All right. LVP of the episode. I'm going to go first on this. It's hotel security, or not hotel, hospital security. Um, one have been handcuffed to his bed. Like, that's one thing because of what happened. He should have been handcuffed to his bed, so that should have never even been an issue when he fell out in his lack of legs
Hmm.
and went chasing after Heisenberg there. Two, how does Mike just get into the room and give him something and nobody notice? I mean, there's
And
something seriously wrong.
he assaulted a cop too, so it shot a cop. So that he would have been locked down.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a good
So
call.
yeah, that's my LVP. How about you?
Um, letting go of Gale, being a jerk to Gale and blaming everything on him. He's actually turned into probably a better option than Jesse at this point because Jesse being just we're equals, pal. Like I'm not your little bitch. That's good lines, but
But he has no idea what anything is in the lab.
he's like, oh, let's cook. I can read a manual. I read.
I read.
Yeah, I doubt that because you can't do anything on the equipment. But Gale could have made that batch. It been just fine.
Well, and kind of clutch. Gale mentioned in this, he set up the entire lab. Like, he's the one that took it from where it was when Walt first saw it, where it was all just pieces sitting in a room, to being up and running. And like just to kind
Hmm.
of toss him aside for it's all shiny up in here. We should have ditched the RV months
Months
ago.
ago, yeah, it's a good one.
All right, MVP, my MVP, it's Gus, Mr. Gustavo Fring, in this episode. I mean, the clutch move of showing up with the chicken, his ability to just kind of turn it all off and hide in plain sight like he does. But then at the same time, like the end of this episode, between what happens to the Salamanca guy and what happens to the cartel guy, I mean, this is like Michael Corleone level sophistication here
Puppeteering, yeah.
in how he manipulates and seeks out revenge in such a cold manner. I mean, he is vicious, yet with a slight smirk on his face the entire time and
Hmm.
asking if you're satisfied with your service. The Gus just rocks it in this episode, and even to the point where he's like, "Now shake my hand and thank me." It's so
Yeah,
good. It's so good.
yeah, that's a good call. I did have something similar. I had his chicken, a pollo's chicken, because if he didn't bring food for all those cops, might not be getting close to Walter to make that message.
It's a popular food. It sounds like too.
Yeah, it
They
is.
all seem to love it. All right. Well, we're going to talk about what Adam thinks is coming next. But first, let's look at it. Well, the Walter White body count currently stands at 2 drug dealers, 1 car, 1 custodian's career, 1 Tuco hideout, 1 lock, 1 uneaten burrito, 1 paper towel holder, rot, 1 back door to Jesse's house, 1 love of Jesse's life, a few burned $100 bills, a pepperoni pizza, a career in education, 1 meth making RV, and 1 beginning of a baleful friendship. And the Jesse ass kicked count remains at 8, which means we currently have Jesse getting his ass kicked once every 3.5 episodes. So,
Season finale time. Looking good for you, but almost.
all
Right before it,
right.
actually, the 12th episode.
Yeah. All right. So, Adam, what's coming next?
You alluded to something. The Tio. Where's the Tio in all this?
Mm.
We lost Tuco. We lost the cousins. Mr. Ding Ding Ding. Where's he at in all this? Needs to come back. Try to figure some stuff out with him. I think we see him again, probably sooner than I thought, because I thought that the cousins would be around longer. So, be interesting. I would also love to hear what Hank has. What kind of funny joke is Hank going to try to throw out there when he wakes up and finally is able to talk to Marie? Like he's like, Marie, I just wanted some peace and quiet, like or something like that. Like I needed time to myself. But interesting to see that. I can foresee Skylar. I don't think she's not seeing Binnicky anymore, but I can see Skylar questioning that phone call, even though she already knows what it is or what possibly it is. So, yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. Or maybe Gus gets somebody to fake turn themselves in for that $10,000 to like throw it off the track even further.
Oh.
Could be to throw him off the trail. It's weird though that none of the cops question, like all of a sudden he got up. They already looked at him and he didn't do anything, but he noticed the only thing that's different is that there's this bald guy here now.
It
And
might have
what's
been the
that?
first time that he actually turned and looked at them, though.
Okay, that's a valid point. Then that's good thinking too. So,
Because they
but
were
yeah,
thinking it might just be a message to the DEA, and if it's that, then yeah, DEA agents standing at the door would do the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. Those are some really
I
good
don't think
thoughts.
Gomi goes back to Texas either, even though it doesn't matter how good the barbecue is. I don't think he goes back.
Mm, it's not a bad thought either. It's not a bad thought either.
All right.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. What do we have? 5 episodes left in this season?
Yeah, and yeah, episode 9 next week. Yeah, 9, 10,
Coming
11,
quick.
12. 5 episodes coming up really quick. The week cannot get, or next week cannot get here soon enough because we are going to be breaking down episode 9 of the Breaking Bad sideshow. So I'm really excited to have this or have you guys listen to this conversation. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here wherever you're listening to it, and make sure you guys tune in next week where Terry and I break it down. Breakdown of Breaking Bad.
Sit and spin.